big gaping barrel. Smith and Julian Wilson's out.
He's up. He's getting out. He's out. He's out. Whoa.
Pipeline doesn't care about your name. It doesn't care if you're a local, a rookie, or a world champ. If you hesitate even once, you're done. Since 1971, this slab of reef has decided who's the real deal and who's just hype. And every year, one surfer walks away with the crown. Pipe Master. This isn't a highlight reel. It's a straight shot through every decade, from the leashless maniacs of the 70s to the heavyweights still going toe-to-toe with death today. The names change, the boards evolve, but the truth never does. If you want respect in surfing, you earn it at Pipeline. And it all started back in '71, when no one was ready, and the wave didn't care. There were no coaches, no jerseys, no jet skis waiting on the inside. Just a handful of guys paddling into Pipeline like they had something to prove and nothing to lose. 1971, the first Pipe Masters, a 17-year-old from Sunset Beach named Jeff Hackman took the win. No priority, no interference calls, just pure surfing. He was already a standout from the Duke contest, but this was different. Smaller field, heavier consequences. Hackman laid the foundation for what would become surfing's most iconic battleground. The event was raw, just a few judges on the beach and competitors scrambling for waves in board shorts and sunburnt shoulders.
I did surf, but it was my life for until I was about 27, 28 years old. It was like, that was just my passion. I loved Sunset Beach.
1972 and 73. Enter Gerry Lopez, the man who made Pipeline look like ballet. He wasn't just smooth, he was spooky. Lopez rode the barrel like it was second nature, like he belonged inside it. Back-to-back titles made it official. Pipeline had a king.
And looking down and seeing my body spinning around in the whitewater, being able to stay calm and hold your breath in those situations, that was a validation of everything that I'd learned and done so far.
1974. Florida's Jeff Crawford showed up and shocked everyone. He surfed like he didn't get the memo, like someone forgot to tell him this wave could kill you. He won it anyway. Proving Pipeline wasn't just for locals or stylists. It was for anyone bold enough to commit. Crawford's lines were deep, his timing perfect. It wasn't luck. It was nerve.
Well, I started surfing back in the 60s, and a lot of surfers eventually want to photograph what they're doing.
1975. Sean Thompson from South Africa brought something new. Polished lines and a frontside attack that hadn't been seen before. His win wasn't just a personal milestone, it was a sign of the sport expanding fast with new styles hitting Hawaiian shores.
I was always very fit. I was a competitive swimmer throughout my schooling career. My father had been a champion swimmer, so I was very, very confident of myself in any situation, no matter how big the surf was.
1976 and 77. Rory Russell stepped up, the local boy with the casual backdoor lines. He didn't just win twice, he did it with a smile. But don't let that fool you. He was deadly when it mattered. Rory was Lopez's protege, but by now, he was carving his own legend into the reef.
I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player.
No way.
Yeah, until I became a surfing champion. But
awesome.
Yeah.
2 times.
Yeah, there were 3 seconds. There was an interference call. I got second to Larry Blair. But actually, Gerry took off behind me.
And defending champion Rory Russell. This will be his 7th Pipeline Masters.
Pipeline had a new prince. 1978 and 79.
It was an all-goofy-foot affair because he was up against Sydney-sider Larry Blair. The waves are great, the surfing is fantastic.
Larry Blair from Australia took back-to-back wins of his own, but not without controversy. In 1979, many thought Hawaiian Dane Kealoha had it in the bag, but the judges saw it different. Pipeline's judging drama had officially begun. The boards were heavy, the wipeouts were brutal, and if yours snapped, you swam all the way in to find the pieces washing up on the sand.
How was that last wave, Larry?
That was the best wave I've caught so far. I've moved off caught 3 exceptional waves, so if I catch 2 more, I think I'll be pretty hard to beat.
But Wayne's got 3 good ones too.
The Pipe Masters wasn't a polished crown jewel yet. It was raw, it was unpredictable, and that's exactly why it mattered. And it was perfect. Because in the 70s, winning at Pipeline didn't just mean you surfed well. It meant you survived something no one else could. The 1980s didn't just turn the volume up, it changed the entire frequency. Pipeline wasn't some underground proving ground anymore, it was the main stage. And winning here didn't just earn you respect, it got you paid, sponsored, and known. 1980. Australia's Mark Richards was already on fire, racking up world titles with that signature twin fin style. When he took out Pipe, it wasn't just another win, it was a statement. MR proved that world champs could rule the reef too, even with boards that broke tradition. His lines were calculated, his positioning flawless, and suddenly, Pipe was part of the title conversation.
These days now, if you get a young kid who's hot, if he's 15, 16, 17, he's got to make that conscious decision whether to stay an amateur or whether he wants to go pro. But my decision wasn't very hard because when pro surfing sort of appeared.
1981. Simon Anderson made history, not just by winning, but by riding the board he helped invent, the 3-fin thruster. It looked weird, it felt different. But by the end of the comp, everyone knew the future had arrived. Simon didn't just win Pipe, he changed how people would surf it for the next 40 years.
And I said to Frank, what's that do, Frank? And he said, it helps make the twin fin a bit more stable. And I immediately had the thought, well, I'm going to make that real stable. I'm going to put a whole fin back there. Or the next day, went back to the factory and added three fins, and there was just a little bit of adjusting of fin sizes and stuff, but that's where the idea came from.
1982. Local legend Michael Ho finally got his.
Ho, whose week began with a broken wrist, and then in the meet earlier today he had to go into a surf-off, a 25-minute surf-off to work his way into the finals, winds up as the winner of the Hawaiian Masters.
He'd been in the mix for years, but this time everything clicked. No one reads Pipe like a Ho, and this was the start of that legacy. Barrel for barrel, he outmaneuvered the field and gave Hawaii another champion to rally around.
It was at the 1982 Pipeline Masters finals. I had a cast on. I cut my cast so I could get my fingers to go against my board. Put a little bit of Astro Deck on my board and on my cast, so maybe I was hoping it would grab. And
1983, Dane Kealoha.
And the judges have now proclaimed their winner. It's 25-year-old Dane Kealoha, this year's winner.
One of the most powerful backsiders to ever hit the reef. His lines were deep, his speed was unreal, and his presence was pure intimidation. When Dane won, it felt overdue. A rightful claim to a wave he helped define. 1984, Joey Barron put California back on the map. He was clean, calculated, and completely locked in. That win mattered, not just for him, but for every mainland kid who grew up dreaming of Hawaii. It was precision over power, and it worked.
If you go back to that South Africa World Championships in '78, I turned pro after that event, and that began the journey to win the Pipeline Masters.
1985, then came Aukie.
Mark Aukie the Offshore Masters for 1985. He wins $6,000 from Australia.
A teenage maniac with backhand turns that looked like they were ripping the ocean in half. He won Pipe like he fought it. Wild, unpredictable, and absolutely electric. It was the kind of performance people still talk about decades later.
Mark Aukie
that sort of turned a bit on shore, so it was even more just trying to play it safe, and sort of like everyone surfs in the same boat if it's onshore or offshore, so you've got to make the best of those conditions, and it feels good when you win it.
1986, Derek Ho.
2. Will it be Tom Carroll or Derek Ho? Carroll takes second. Derek Ho is the Pipeline champion.
The first big win in what would become one of Pipeline's most important dynasties. Hawaiian through and through, Derek had style, aggression, and more reef time than anyone. It was personal, and he surfed like it.
I must say that's the best barrel I've had in my life. And with the right boards and the right equipment, anyone's going to be able to do it if they're out there going for it.
1987. Tom Carroll brought thunder. Short, compact, coiled like a spring. And when he unleashed off the bottom, the whole beach felt it. This was the start of something big, and it wouldn't be the last time he'd own this wave.
I think winning the Pipeline Masters was probably equal to winning a world title for me. The differences are that the Pipeline Masters is decided in one day, almost. And the effort you put in for a whole year on the World Tour is major, and to keep a focus for a whole year is really tough.
1988. Robbie Page from Australia took the win. He wasn't the favorite, but he was the one who found the best waves when it counted. At Pipe, that's what matters. Opportunity beats hype every time. 1989. Gary Kong Elkerton. Power surfer. Heavy-footed. Zero fear. He charged Pipe like it owed him money, and left with the trophy. No one bullied the wave like Kong.
Yeah, the bell means a lot of things. That, the Sunset Trophy, and the Pipe Masters Trophy are probably the three ultimate ones you could win.
By the end of the decade, Pipeline had transformed. The boards were faster. The athletes were sharper. Every top surfer in the world now built their year around this event. World titles were being decided here. Careers were being made here. And the crowd? It had tripled. Media tents, photographers, massive banners. Pipe was becoming the centerpiece of surf's new era. But beneath all that noise, the wave hadn't changed. It still demanded everything. And the 80s delivered a new generation of surfers who could give it. The 1990s were messy, unapologetic, and impossible to ignore. Grunge was in the speakers. Neon was dead. Surfing wasn't smiling anymore. It was shifting fast. Pipeline, once mythical, was now a global headline. But beneath all the hype, something deeper was boiling. A power struggle between tour stars and the underground. Locals versus outsiders. Style versus strategy. And no one represented that collision better than the surfers who showed up here in the 90s. 1990. Tom Carroll came back and took his second Pipe Masters. By now, he wasn't just the compact Aussie with ridiculous bottom turns. He was the guy who could beat anyone at Pipe. 2 wins, both earned, both explosive. 1991. Carroll did it again, back to back. He surfed like the reef was his. Controlled, fearless, and locked in from horn to horn. It was a veteran performance, and the tour took notice.
Master 3 times, you won it. And by the late 80s, you were considered the master of Pipeline. That's a pretty good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my vulnerable point. I love that. Yeah.
Again, 1992. A 20-year-old Kelly Slater rolled in with something different.
Kelly Slater, the winner. $14,000.
He wasn't just better, he was reacting before others even recognized the moment. He picked lines like a surgeon and pulled into close-out barrels like he didn't know better. Slater wasn't just good, he was calculated, cold, and terrifyingly smart. And when he won his first Pipe Masters, it felt like the beginning of something bigger. Spoiler, it was.
I'm happy with the check, but I'm always happy with competition. This is my life, and it's what I do for a living, but most of all, it's just what I love, and I'd be doing it even if I wasn't making money.
1993. Derek Ho came back with something to prove. 2 decades of Hawaiian power behind him. He surfed like a man possessed. No hesitation, no fluff. That win made him the first Hawaiian world champ. And he did it on home turf, at the wave that shaped him.
Well, obviously Pipeline's unique, but for me it's a personal thing.
1994 to 1996. Slater took over.
Slater would capture the crown, and with it, the World Championship. But the
3 straight Pipe Masters, 3 straight mic drops. He wasn't just winning heats, he was dismantling people, judges, competitors, the reef itself. Slater's attack was surgical. His timing, perfect. He threaded barrels that shouldn't have been makeable and turned finals into clinics. By 1996, everyone else was just trying to keep up. But this era wasn't just about Kelly. 1997, Johnny Boy Gomes stepped up. Hawaiian, hard charger, enforcer of respect. He surfed angry, proud, like pipe was his front yard and the rest of the world was trespassing. When he won, the beach erupted. It wasn't just a heat, it was a message. He didn't just take the win. He reclaimed space for the underground, for locals, for every surfer who felt the world tour was writing them out. 1998. Jake Patterson from Australia grabbed a surprise win. He was clean, sharp, and consistent. He didn't need drama, just solid lines and zero mistakes. Sometimes, that's all it takes. In a decade full of fireworks, his victory was all substance, no noise.
I'd just been Kelly in the semi, and then I was in this final. I was kind of like overawed. I'm paddling into the final, and there was an expressing session before, and there's a bunch of guys paddling out. And this guy paddles over me, it was actually Christian Fletcher, paddles over me and goes, "You've lost and you don't even know it yet."
1999. Slater came back for one more before the decade ended. He'd been stepping away from full-time competition, chasing swells, and showing up when it mattered. But at pipe, he never lost the touch. He picked off bombs, disappeared behind the curtain, and came flying out like it was nothing. 6 titles deep, and already a legend. But behind every champ this decade were bigger questions. Who really owned Pipeline? Was it a World Tour stop, or sacred ground for locals? What mattered more, consistency or guts? Because the 90s weren't just about who won, they were about who stood their ground. Slater made pipe his playground, but guys like Johnny Boy made sure it never got too safe. The crowd was rowdy. The reef was as unforgiving as ever. The lineup pulsed with tension. Quiet drop-ins, burned waves, stare-downs from the channel. You could feel it standing on the beach. This wasn't just competition. It was personal. There were no wristbands, no webcast replays, just pissed-off locals and tour surfers trying not to get punched in the face. And still, through all of it, Pipeline stayed pure, unimpressed, unchanged. In the 1990s, the Pipe Masters wasn't just the end of the season. It was where careers exploded or evaporated, where the crown was earned, and where egos got erased. By the 2000s, Pipeline wasn't just a proving ground, it was the stage for surfing's biggest storylines. Broadcast crews, title scenarios, national pride, everything came to a head on this reef. And no rivalry hit harder than Andy Irons versus Kelly Slater. But before that war kicked off, Rob Machado opened the decade with a win of his own. 2000. Rob was the soulful, smooth technician, the style icon who could pick apart a wave without ever looking like he was trying. His Pipe Masters win was clean, understated, and deeply respected. It felt like the end of an era, the last calm before the storm.
The emotions are just incredible. I don't even know what to say. And it's a dream, It's something that I've had posters on my wall since I was 8 years old, and I've just dreamed about doing what I just did, holding a trophy above my head at Pipeline. So I can't believe it.
2001. The wild card struck. Bruce Irons, Andy's younger brother, came in out of nowhere and stole the show. No one expected it, but that's what made it legendary. He didn't win with strategy. He won by throwing himself over the ledge and disappearing into impossible barrels. And when he came out, the crowd went ballistic. The wild card dream was real, and Bruce had lit the fuse. 2002 to 2003.
Box, Gerry Lopez, Pipeline champion from Honolulu, Hawaii, Andy Irons!
Andy Irons, the Hawaiian heavyweight who refused to bow to the Kelly machine. He didn't just want to win, he wanted to beat Slater on the biggest stage possible. And he did. Twice. Andy took back-to-back Pipe Masters while in the middle of one of the gnarliest title battles surfing had ever seen. He surfed with emotion, fire, and complete control under pressure. He made Pipeline feel like war.
Yeah, pipe has always been a dream of mine, and to be in a Pipe Master final alone, I was really stoked on that. To win it's just like one of my biggest accomplishments and a goal I've always set out for myself.
2004. A local kid named Jamie O'Brien won it all. He grew up right there, literally across the street. He knew every boil, every step, every inch of reef, and he surfed like it. That win wasn't a fluke, it was destiny. One of the youngest Pipe Masters ever, and one of the most comfortable surfers the wave has ever seen.
I was born in Kahuku Hospital, which is on the east side of Oahu. I'm 21 years old, and I was pretty much raised at Pipeline. Growing up over here on the North Shore, I was always interested in surfing.
2005 to 2006. Andy came back to win 2 more, 4 Pipe Masters in 5 years. That kind of dominance doesn't happen by accident. By now, he was the most feared surfer in heavy reef barrels. He could take off deeper, drive faster, and stand taller in the pit than anyone else on tour. 2007, Bede Durbridge. Cool, quiet, clinical. He didn't have the fanfare, but he had the game. Bede made fewer mistakes than anyone else that day. And at Pipe, that's what wins. Sometimes Pipe rewards the madman. Other times, it crowns the technician.
To win the Triple Crown, and just all the past winners are my heroes, and Hawaii's a proving ground for your surfing, so yeah, I'm just ecstatic at the moment.
2008, Slater again.
Look at it, Kelly Slater might pull an audible on the inside. It is going to be backdoor without priority.
By now, he was a force of nature, older, wiser, and still 5 steps ahead of everyone else. He didn't just win, he dominated. He was reinventing how to win heats while other surfers were still figuring out their boards. 2009. Taj Burrow finally got his.
He is your 2009 Billabong Pipeline Masters champion, Mr. Taj Burrow!
After years of being the best surfer without a major win at Pipe, he nailed it. Taj was fast, loose, unpredictable, and when it clicked, it was beautiful. He beat Slater in the final, and the surf world erupted. The 2000s were a decade of contrasts. Wildcards taking scalps, world champs crashing early, teenagers like Jamie O winning from their backyard, while veterans like Slater and Andy went to war at the top. But more than anything, the title pressure hit new levels. For the first time, the Pipe Masters was regularly deciding the world champion. Every December, the math got tighter, the tension thicker, and the sets heavier. It wasn't just about pride anymore. It was about legacy. The beach was a stadium, helicopters overhead, broadcast trucks, tens of thousands packed along the sand. And out in the lineup, everything still came down to one thing: who could commit when it mattered most? Pipeline didn't care how many stickers were on your board. It only cared about one thing: can you make the drop and stand tall in the pit? In the 2000s, the surfers who could became legends. By the 2010s, Pipeline didn't give second chances. It demanded decisions, not instincts. The surfing, the judging, the stakes. You weren't just trying to survive the reef, you were trying to survive the math. World titles were riding on every drop and the whole world was watching. 2010, Jeremy Flores broke through for France. He wasn't expected to win, not at Pipe, not against the roster that year. But he threaded barrels like a local and made clutch decisions when it counted. He didn't overpower the wave. He read it, reacted to it, and walked away with one of the most calculated wins in event history.
It's such a dream, you know. I'm 22 years old. I've been coming to Hawaii for so long, and this is my favorite place in the world, you know.
2011. Kieran Perro had been chasing a big result at Pipe for years. He'd had heartbreak, close calls, mistimed peaks, gnarly beatdowns, but this time, he found rhythm and refused to crack. Every heat was earned. Every barrel was critical. That win felt like a redemption arc, closing right on schedule.
Like, I always felt like I could have achieved that, and I felt like I had enough experience out there and the desire. And you want to do it, but you just never really believe until it happens. And now I believe, you know, I could win it again.
2012. Joel Parkinson finally sealed the deal. He'd been runner-up 4 times in the world title race. Always close, always just short. But when the chips fell his way at Pipe, he didn't blink. He surfed like a man who'd waited too long to screw it up. He won the comp, won the title, and finally shed the nearly man tag that haunted him for a decade.
One is something I dreamed of. You know, I just can't actually believe it's actually happened right now. It's
2013, Slater again.
Late takeoff, here he goes. Kelly Slater standing tall, backhand barrel.
At Pipe, Slater wasn't guaranteed to win, but he was guaranteed to matter. He answered it with calculated chaos. Deep drops, no hesitation, and the same unnerving calm that won him his first title 2 decades earlier. 2014, Julian Wilson stepped in.
Julian, a stand-up hit, he comes flying out.
The crowd is going crazy. Wilson.
He and Gabriel Medina were trading blows in one of the most intense finals in pipe history. Gabby was hunting Brazil's first world title. Julian was fighting to remind everyone he wasn't just talent. He was a closer. He got the score. He got the trophy. But Medina still walked away as world champ. It was the perfect split. One won the day, one took the year.
Down at Bells Beach. Tell us how you're feeling.
Oh, mate, it's the best day of my life, best competitive day of my life, 100%.
2015. Adriano de Souza
Like de Souza takes off deep at back door. A perfect exit.
delivered what might be the most emotionally charged pipe victory of the decade. He surfed with grit, patience, and edge-of-the-ledge commitment, every turn powered by years of being written off. He won the comp. He won the world title. And he dedicated it to his friend and mentor Ricardo dos Santos, who'd been killed earlier that year. It wasn't just a win, it was a eulogy with fins.
You must be so ecstatic and proud of yourself taking out your first world title.
It's incredible feeling.
2016. Michelle Bourez from Tahiti stepped in with flawless timing.
Michelle Bourez beats Kanoa Igarashi in the final.
He threaded surgical lines with that signature compact stance and kept composure while others spun out. Michelle's win wasn't loud, it was locked in. The kind of performance that looked even better in slow motion.
I'm just gonna regroup, have a really big party tonight.
2017. Jeremy Flores returned and did it again.
Jeremy Flores steals the Pipe Masters off John Florence.
This time, taking down John Florence in the final. Nobody gave him the edge, but he earned it on every set wave. Flores didn't dominate the decade, but when he showed up at pipe, he delivered.
Jeremy Flores steals the Pipe Masters off John Florence.
2018. Gabriel Medina closed it out.
Move up into that first section.
Not just the Pipe Masters, the whole year. He was fast, calculated, and fearless.
Gabriel Medina hasn't even won an event. At some point, it's got to click.
He didn't oversurf, he didn't undersurf. He played the game like a champion and walked out with everything. 2019. Idolo Ferreira.
Ferreira still moving.
One of the most explosive surfers to ever touch a board. He needed to beat Medina to win the title, and he did. He dropped into waves that barely looked makeable and turned them into finals-worthy rides. When it was over, he sprinted down the beach with the Brazilian flag draped over his back. The tour had crowned a new king.
So happy in that moment, and then I saw my dad crying, and I remember all my history on the past, because that was one of the best moments, not only for me, but my family and friends. And
throughout the 2010s, the Pipe Masters didn't just end the season, it decided who mattered. Mistakes weren't forgiven. Hesitation was lethal, and for a decade straight, the best surfers in the world came to Pipeline with everything on the line and found out if they really had it. For decades, Pipeline had the final word in surfing. It decided world titles, it broke hearts, it made legends. But in 2021, the WSL flipped the script, and Pipe became the starting line instead of the finish. It changed everything. Now surfers were paddling into the most dangerous wave on tour with zero rhythm, no momentum, and everything to prove. There were no world title clinchers, no last heat miracles. But the wave didn't care. It still demanded the same thing. Total commitment. Or total destruction. These are the champions of the official WSL Pipe Masters. Not the specialty invite-only events like the Vans version. This is who stood tallest when it counted for the World Tour. 2020, after years of injury setbacks, close calls, and pure frustration, John Florence finally broke through.
Back door, arm bars the start, still traveling in this pit. Florence comes out.
How did he do that? He's a magician.
He'd grown up with Pipeline in his front yard. He knew the wave better than anyone, but the Pipe Masters had always slipped through his fingers, until now. He surfed methodically with purpose and buried the ghosts. That win wasn't flashy, it was overdue, and it meant everything. There was no Pipe Masters the following year. The WSL shuffled the calendar. and the event didn't run. 2022. And then came Kelly Slater.
See that right now, Kelly Slater driving super deep behind another chandelier, he comes out!
49 years old, almost 3 decades removed from his first Pipe Masters win, and somehow, he won again. He beat Seth Moniz in the final with flawless timing and impossibly deep barrels, then broke down in tears on the beach. It wasn't just another win, it was a full circle moment. A career that began here, still writing new chapters, even the critics had to shut up. Because on that day, Slater didn't just turn back the clock, he shattered it.
I committed my life to this, you know, to all of this. All the heartbreak and all the winning and all this crap. It's, you know, I've hated lots of it. But I just savor this, and this is the best one in my life.
2023, a new face claimed the crown, Jack Robinson.
Jack Robinson is your champion of the Billabong Pro Pipeline and your new world #1.
One of the most technically gifted surfers of his generation, with the nerves to match. Jack's win was earned, not gifted. He handled every round with poise, threading slabs that others hesitated on, and landing clutch scores when it mattered. It wasn't a coronation. It was a warning shot. The new guard had arrived.
I just scratched into it, and then the wave never broke. Did like 5 turns, and then I just went past everybody on a moving piece of water. And I was like, oh, where's this wave gonna go? I didn't get that deep, but it was a cool moment.
2024. That's when Barron Mamiya arrived for real.
The same direction, knifing it super deep. Mamiya comes out.
A North Shore standout with flashes of brilliance, but never a full breakthrough until this one. He read the reef like a local and surfed with nothing to lose. Every heat built momentum, and by the final, he looked untouchable. It wasn't a fluke, it was a statement. Barron had stepped into the spotlight, and Pipeline welcomed him home. 2025, and then he did it again.
Again, different peers come out. Barron Mamiya.
Back-to-back at Pipeline, the kind of feat that separates hype from history. Barron didn't sneak through heats this time. He dominated them.
I feel like that cements you as, you know, one of the best ever out here, and that was my goal going into this comp, and I did it.
He surfed like someone who already knew the ending, and when the final horn sounded, there was no doubt. 2 years, 2 wins, 1 message. This wasn't a breakthrough anymore. It was a reign.
We'll see you soon.
All of it, from Slater's last miracle to Barron's breakout, happened in a version of the Pipe Masters that wasn't quite the same. It was still heavy, still sacred, but it wasn't the finish line anymore. It opened the year, and that meant no titles were clinched. No careers capped, just one incredible result before the tour moved on. But that's changing. In 2026, the Pipe Masters returns as the final event of the season. Right where it belongs, right where it hurts the most. The crown comes back to the North Shore, and Pipeline will once again decide everything. If you're into stories like this, full of legacy, risk, and surfers who made history on the heaviest stage, then you'll want to check out this one next. It's all about one of the greatest to ever do it at Pipeline. And drop a comment. Who's your favorite Pipe Master of all time? And who's next? Like, sub, share it with someone who still watches replays from '97. Thanks for watching and stay wicked.